Welcome again to my channel, Democracy Catastrophe. Well, what can I say about what Trump is doing? Everything that he does pisses everybody off. It's like he does this deliberately. I don't know about you. Deporting a 4-year-old American citizen in El Salvador who's got cancer. You've got to be a sociopath to do something like that. Really? Never in a million years would I think of you doing something that sadistic and evil. Then again, in all of our American history, even our ancestors, our forefathers, our forebears, were not squeaky clean. No way, no how, no fashion. It is just riddled with uncompassion to the max. Think after World War II, kind of dawned on the rest of the world. I'm talking about the first world. What are you talking about? Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Asia, Australia. We're talking about those countries where they were looking at, my God, what have we done to ourselves? So you think about, since the beginning of time, of human existence, people went to war not knowing how to interact with one another. There's been books written on how to treat one another with compassion and goodness. And sometimes in that book, those books, there are many examples that were used just to justify murder, prison, I don't know, genocide, fratricide, infanticide, things that out of the ordinary are just bad. I don't know, but if anything, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, cults of personalities that were just so evil, wicked, and sadistic kind of help transform of what not to be as a nation. So, maybe is this the turning point in the next 10, 20 years from now, from this date forward, that this might be the pinnacle point in history after Trump's administration, that we turn the page? Because guess what? Democracy overnight never happens because there's too many roadblocks. And even if you put in the right people, there's this thing called greed that just keeps on just being a stumbling block for a lot of people who want power and just consolidate power for themselves. And guess what? We don't benefit. This idea of democracy, direct democracy, works if you don't dilute the message of what democracy ought to be. Now, many in the United States government today are going by the thing called Project 2025. That is the playbook that they're using right now, as we speak, to dilute, divert, and ignore due process. And without due process, what's this nation made up? If they're going to tell us to follow law and they're not allowed to, and they go against every principle, against just declare war on the American people, my God. Were we this stupid back in November of 2024? You bet we were. I warned you before, over a year ago, what was going to happen. When I learned that when somebody says that they're a bad guy, you're a bad guy. You put an agenda together. Those meant for him and his cronies to benefit off of our backs and off our tax dollars. No matter what the world thinks, he'll run interference all he wants to with whatever he wants. The end of the day is the tax cuts for the rich and powerful, and nothing matters else. As long as he's in power, that's going to be the law of the land. The rich are going to get richer, the poor are going to get poorer, and if you don't have the money, tough shit. But many of you on the right ignored the warnings, ignored all the bad things he's been doing. Yeah, whatever. He just says that. He just does that. But not knowing he is who he is. He's surrounded by the people that want to do the most harm. Who cares about the Constitution? As far as he's concerned, he thinks the Constitution is a piece of toilet paper. When are you going to get through your heads? I usually don't come up here in the studio to do a live stream very much anymore. I just don't find it productive anymore. What I do find is that what I'm trying to do is just try to encapsulate what's happening at the moment, this time, and right now. Everyone and their mother is wanting to impeach Donald Trump in Congress right now, and that's, come on, who the fuck are they going? I don't know what you. The Republicans should be very extremely scared of their base. They should be running away from the base. They should be quitting, resigning, having special elections coming up. But the cowards that they are, they know when things subside, when things deviate. Trump is going to pull a rabbit out of his ass sometime in December, November. And that's going to be the new talk of the town. whatever that may be, whatever um, executive order is going to come up with. It's just going to piss people more off than usual. Steve Miller, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump. This goes on. Pam Bondi. They're all bad. They're horrible, but they're good at being horrible. You understand what I'm trying to say? They're not stupid. They play as if they were stupid, but in the end, they know what they want and they're going to get it. And that just pisses everybody off because Americans are now been duped into believing how they're not strong. You take the power away from them. You stand up to them. You stand up to a bully. Bully backs down. But these bullies are not stepping down. Because why? Because of the weak, feckless Democrats who's going to do whatever they take to run roughshod interference to let Trump do what he does. Right now, the courts and Congress are pretty well neutered. And you're just laughing at them. The Supreme Court, they're finding themselves starting to become even more irrelevant. And while Congress and the people are actually trying to stand up to Trump, Trump is basically saying, so what? You don't hear any more trials or investigations against Clarence Thomas or I forgot the guy's name, Brett Kavanaugh or Sam Alito. You don't hear a lot of that stuff going on. And what resembles to me what's going to be happening at the New Mexican border now, it's going to be a 170-mile border touching Texas to Arizona and having Fort Huachuca and next that border, in which there's going to be a lot of soldiers patrolling New Mexico and arresting undocumented individuals. The truth is, I don't think that's going to work. I think the message has been out. That America has just sunk to a point where this is just a laughing stock of the world. And we right. Okay. Netanyahu and Elon Musk, the Heritage Foundation, all collaborated together in order for Trump to win. So it goes for sure something for organization. I don't care what they say in the news. If the Democrats were organized in some way, some fashion, some form, that would be headline news. Well, I'll tell you that for the fact that once they have their stuff together, they're kind of in lockstep with one another. Sorry, Ed Schultz. Once Democrats get themselves together. I don't care how many rallies AOC's going to have. 2028 is not going to happen for her. Or it's 2032. Maybe 2036 might be her year. I don't think after Trump, I don't think there's going to be anybody any Republican that's organized is willing to take up the mantle and just run for president. It's going to be like one big, huge empty shell. And that's kind of the good news. So we shall see. Let's see how far Trump can push until we say no more.